one last snapshot of the metadata model. Let's talk about the annotation component, the annotation info. Here, what you have to specify is whether a specific corpus is annotated and at which level, okay? It's just segmented, lemmatized, aligned, stamped, part of speech tagged, with using below part of speech tag sets, etc. But also, there are optional elements here, for instance, conformance to best standards practice, here, where somehow you declare what standards you've been using for annotation or what standards your tool, if your resource is a tool, complies with. Right, a few words about the MetaShare legal framework. Since we're talking about sharing, opening, sharing, and exchanging, we had the pressing need somehow to, if you want to depict our principles onto paper. The principles that MetaShare tries to build on and, if you want, promote, have been formulated in what we call the Language Resources Sharing Charter, the MetaShare Charter. It is included, I think, in the conference bags. Let me just very, very briefly summarize what this thing says. The aim is to give a clear signal to language resource providers and users, to the language technology community, but also to market players, policymakers, and the public, that in the digital world, language resource should be shared and further reused with the minimum possible transaction costs and efforts, and under clear and, most important, easy to understand rules. Concerning the implementation, if you want, of this big goal, we have reeled off this policy into a set of guidelines. So guidelines about the infrastructure. What we are advocating is that language resources should be described with metadata that are standardized, that are ideally open to fair harvesting with web interfaces that allow search and browsing. And language resources should be persistently stored in an open and documented format. Concerning standardization and interoperability, that was also mentioned in the morning as one of the criteria for sharing, open standards and best practices should be used for datasets, tools, and metadata wherever these are available. Data formats have to be standardized and have to be ideally should be open. Software has to use open interfaces and be ideally open source. Concerning availability and licensing, all necessary intellectual property rights have to be cleared. In case commercial licenses are used, then these have to be standardized and be easy to understand. Copyright limitations, exceptions need to be harmonized across the EU. In a very recent experiment that we did dealing with copyright law for specific resources in 5 different countries, we realized that there is a legal jungle there. So there we need help. So copyright limitations and exceptions need to be harmonized. Restrictions to use or reuse of LRs should be the minimum possible. Public domain content and everything that is marked as such, as public domain, should come with no additional restrictions. If language resources are produced entirely with public funding, then these should be open or shared, at least for research purposes. And any LR infrastructure, not only MetaShare, but on any LR infrastructure, should support all possible business models without imposing restrictions to market entry. Concerning ethical and privacy issues, we have to adopt effective privacy policies for anonymization, but also consent management, even at the early, not to say before, at the early stages, not to say before a corpus construction or any type of language resource construction process begins. Now, for MetaShare itself, the way we implement these principles of the Charter are rolled out into 2 different strands, opening and sharing. So following upon the Charter, We have prepared model licenses that can be used for the resources, be they data sets or tools. For open data, and for open data we advocate for Creative Commons based licenses, starting with Creative Commons 0, okay, unbridled use, down to more restrictive, if you want, schemas, all Creative Commons based. For sharing, we have prepared MetaShare network licenses that are CC compatible, and in essence, they are templates that can be used by members of MetaShare when they wish to make available their resources to other network members. As I said, they build on CC concepts, and one basic characteristic of them that differentiates them from the Creative Commons templates is redeposition. So for the members, we would like to push, not oblige, but push for redeposition. We really believe that redeposition will act, sooner or later, as the main driver for all sorts of collaborative experiments in language resource building. Last but not least, since there are cases where commercial licenses are necessary, we have prepared, along the modular way of structuring legal rights a la Creative Commons or MetaShare Commons, we have prepared standardized commercial licenses. So, as you may know, Creative Commons, but also MetaShare Commons now structures duties and rights of use along 4 dimensions: attribution, commercial or non-commercial use, derivative or no derivative work allowed, and share alike or non-share alike. And the possible combinations that we have are these 6 combinations, be it for Creative Commons for the open domain or for MetaShare Commons for the shared domain. Now, just a few screenshots from MetaShare version 1. You can visit MetaShare version 1 by typing www.metashare.eu or metashare.org, or through the MetaNet website if you just go to the tab MetaShare. From there you can access version 1, but you can also access all the documents, metadata specifications, legal stuff, etc. that has been presented. Just some screenshots. The current configuration features 6 repositories that reside in the respective organizations, the FKI, CNR, ELDA, FBK, ILSP, plus a repository where we host all the metadata descriptions of the collaborating PSP projects. These are Caesar, MetaNet4U, and Metanord. Now, through single sign-on operations, one can hop from repository to repository and get access to resources get access to the repository in which the specific resource resides. You will be welcomed by a screen that looks like this. There are possibilities for basic search, which is Google-like search. So if you ask the current version about a Hungarian tree bank, this is what you will get, something like 31 language resources that match your query, and then you can view the metadata record of a specific resource that has matched your query, in that particular case, the Szeged tree bank, or this description is based on the metadata model that I presented before, and some of these descriptions are the result of a mapping from existing catalogs onto the MetaShare schema. You can also use advanced search for more precise, and if you want more constrained results, whereby you can ask by resource type, by media type, by resource name, by resource short name, if you happen to know it, by annotation type, and by language. So here, I think I had asked about corpus text in Hungarian, and again, you get a list. You have 8 language resources that match this query. You can have a look at one of them that you choose, the English Parallel Corpus. This comes with a specific license. You click on the license, you see the license agreement, you see what type this is, what rights are granted to you. So here you are allowed to share, remix, etc. under two conditions, attribution and share alike. So the licenses are standardized, they tell you what rights you have, you can agree and download, and all in all, if you have not counted, the resource that you need is just 5 clicks away from your query. So, where we stand, population of MetaShare right now, this is population round 0, the official population starts 1st of July. So as of the 23rd of June, I've lost days, I don't know when this was, last Friday most probably. We had 1,425 language resource packages, okay, catering for something like 40 languages. The distribution per language is not very surprising. What you see here is those languages for which we have more than 20 language resource packages in the infrastructure. So English accounts for 30% and 427 packages. French follows, German follows, Spanish, Italian, Chinese, Swedish, Dutch, etc. Now, from now on, at the implementation level, what you should expect from us is a MetaShare version 1, an operating version 1 of the MetaShare infrastructure by July 2011. This will be rolled out within the MetaNet network, and the network that now features circa 50 organizations. It will be focusing on laying the distributed repository infrastructure by making available free software for repository setup and helping organize and document LR. So free software that you will be able to download from the website, and this will enable you to set up your own repository. It comes with all sorts of editors and wizards, okay, that can help you describe your resources and store them. MetaShare version 2, February 2012, a stable version that will be ready for production use outside the MetaNet network circle. It will be focusing on providing services to language resource providers, consumers, and aggregators like the ones that I mentioned before, statistics, reporting, recommendations, and the like. Now, later on, we hope that we will be able to provide services that alleviate any sort of manual effort through scrapers, mapping tools, interoperability conversion programs, etc. So in a short time, we hope that we will be able to tell you, just show us where the relevant information exists, and we will do the rest for you. Concerning the principles operation and governance level, we have started gathering community feedback on the sharing principles. We will be testing the applicability and suitability of the recommended licensing instruments in an as wide as possible range of resource types, countries, but also jurisdictions. And of course, we will be populating the repositories with as well documented LRs as possible. So here I think I can conclude, and I would like to invite you to come and visit the MetaShare booth in room Margit. This is the room just there, just opposite, in desk 8, where you can see what we've been doing, and we can discuss any issue. Thank you so much.